Bulldogs Athletics. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel that's On the Hill Media. Make sure you hit the bell for all notifications. As we say, let's get it. Hey guys, it's Pat Jenkins of On the Hill Media and voice of Fayetteville High Bulldogs Athletics. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel that's On the Hill Media. Make sure you hit the bell for all notifications. As we say, let's get it.
Well, with final home game of the year, senior night, or senior afternoon, against Louisiana Tech. We're catching them when they're playing, I think, their best football. They deliver some problems. The structure of their defense. They're 3-3-5, but it's different because they have a robber, a rover, a guy basically it's really hard to get to block, who's a really, really good player, the Fields kid. And so offensively, they're running the ball a lot better than they have all year, not throwing it quite as much as what they did earlier in the year, but the transfer from Coffeyville's a hard runner. Their line's playing well. They've got a lot of speed at wideout. So I think they're going to come in with a lot of confidence, obviously, after last week, their win. And so we're excited about having them here and on senior day for us. But we know that was a big win for them last week. They'll come in with a lot of confidence, I'm sure.
I was wondering if you talked to the team about, obviously you see 4-6 and it's Louisiana Tech's not a big name team, but 3 overtime losses and the loss to Western Kentucky that was playing really good. You talk to them about maybe they're not what their record says they are?
I think we have not, obviously we haven't had our meeting yet today, but I think the big thing there is this game is more about us and how we play. We have to play hard. We have to play hard. We have to challenge ourselves. We've gotten in the past where we've done well at times, we've done not well at times.
And welcome
against
here live from
teams.
CMAC Southern Kitchen at 2190 MLK Boulevard here in Fayetteville. It's talking season as we recap the weekend's happenings, both high school, collegiately in the SEC. There was a big game that I had a hand in or a interest in, as well as our good boy Aaron Rags. Also, there was a game. One of us came out on top, but one of us not so lucky. But for the most part, picks, I think I did pretty dadgum good. And we'll talk about that on Thursday. But Arkansas, 20-10 losers to the number 3 ranked Texas Longhorns, and defensively couldn't have played any better. I mean, you would like to have a few plays back on the offensive side of the ball, but for the most part, I thought this team did compete with the nation's 3rd ranked team, and just if not for a few plays left here and there, this game might have had a chance to go the other way. I know a lot of people are going to say and blame Taylon Green for their, but Taylon Green had those turnovers were not on Taylon Green.
That went to No Hands Broden.
The first one, and then, people want to say, well, why do you put a freshman in? it's a freshman they believe in, and it's going to be a freshman in C.J. Brown that I think, I mean, he's going to make more plays that people are going to cheer about than frown about in his career, and it's something I think he's going to learn. You take those two plays, then the overthrow, and it was an overthrown ball to Isaiah Satania, open down the sideline, had the ball just been thrown slightly inside, that would have been a touchdown. There was just a few plays that Arkansas left, but, I mean, this team did have a chance to win that football game. I didn't at any point think that Texas was the more dominant team. I just thought they played a little bit cleaner.
Nah, Pat, I'm not going to lie. After they went up 10-0, I kind of knew it was over. Not that I thought they were going to blow them out. I just knew that Texas had sealed that game away. I think now with what people know about the University of Arkansas football team, they know how they score and how they come out, and a lot of teams are prepared to stop that run game and know that we kind of have trouble moving the ball through the air. So I knew it was going to be hard to play catch up once they went up 10. But again, it was opportunities for those guys to go out there and execute. I just feel like just not enough cohesion. It still needs a couple of guys up there on the offensive line to really turn the corner on that offensive side of the ball.
The one thing that did kind of puzzle me is that Jaquindon Jackson didn't carry the ball at least upwards of close to 20 carries. I think he had anywhere from 11 to 13 carries. And to me, watching him run the football, I felt like he ran as healthy. The way he was running was the way he ran in, fall camp. I mean, I thought he looked the healthiest he's ever looked. I thought he ran with power and purpose. But at the same time, I mean, there was a lot of protection. That's the one thing this offense has trouble doing right now is protecting the quarterback. And I just don't understand. And I'm not the coach. I'm not trying to question. I'm just saying I don't understand why they throw the ball as much with so much experience. And Marion Harris is going to be he's going to be a great offensive lineman. He may be a great All-American, All-Conference, future NFL at tackle. But for right now, I mean, you're asking me to do a lot, and I think some of those you have to put on the quarterback. I think there's times that number 10 could throw open receivers, and you just can't on first down. You cannot take those 8 and 12-yard losses because when you do that, that automatically signals to the defense, I mean, you're going to have to throw the football. Running is not an option for these next two plays. And then with the defensive ends, and especially the type of defensive ends they have in the SEC, these guys will get after your quarterback. And that's what's been happening with the experience at our left tackle. Will this line be better? I fully anticipate they'll be a lot better next year. And they're not bad, but their strength is running the football. And I just think for the next 2 weeks, if I'm Petrino and Pittman, that's the route I'm taking.
Oh, we have a comment from Jared Fraley. He says, I thought it was one of the cleanest games I've ever watched, just 2 penalties on each side of the ball. QB has to learn to run when it's not there.
I agree with you, Jared. There was times he could have run. I mean, there was a couple of reads I thought Taylor, if he just makes the other read, things are going for big plays. I mean, there was a lot of check down routes. And this almost seems to me, as the season's going on, is I think he's predetermined where he's going to go with the football prior to even coming to the line of scrimmage. He knows this is where I'm going, and that's hurting. I mean, that is hurting this offense. But, I mean, you don't want to get down on the kid. He's still, top 4 or 5, one of the passers yardage-wise in the SEC. I mean, this is not a bad offense. It's just he's got to make better reads because I think some of those sacks could have been grossly avoided had he, just gotten rid of the ball or just taken off and got maybe 2 or 3 yards. Just get what you can get.
Yeah, to me, it's just, again, I know he's not a quote-unquote freshman, but to me, coming to the SEC, I don't care if you're a sophomore, junior, you're going to have that first-year woes coming into the SEC, especially at the quarterback position, and I think that's really what you're seeing from Taylor. You're seeing a guy that still getting acclimated to the speed, maybe not the type of accurate passer already, so coming to the top defensive conference, it is an adjustment, and I think really just the speed of the defensive lineman. And you're talking about guys running 4.3s that are, close to 300 pounds, and you don't see that in those other conferences. You might see it in the Big Ten, but you don't see it on the level that you see it week in and week out, playing the Texases, playing the Ole Misses, playing the LSUs, and I think that's just a growing pain that Taylor's going to have to grow through. And I think it was a key question asked today in the press conference, and it was is it time to start having those conversations about Taylor returning for next year? And I
Right.
thought that was a great question because I'm not sure, and I know he still has that learning curve. I'm not sure if Taylor's still the guy and if he can make that leap to continue to grow the team in the way we need, because I think it's gonna hurt us losing Jaquindon. I know we got Braylon Russell still in the stable, but I think it's gonna hurt losing Jaquindon. He's an X factor that I think really helped calm Taylor, even from a mental aspect. You know, early on in the year, you heard Taylor talk about how Jaquindon was a former quarterback in high school. So just times when he got a little nervous and got a little just out of shape, Jaquindon was that helper. So again, I think he's gonna be a big X factor leaving going into next year.
So I know Sam's going to talk to 6 of them. And you have to think Carmona, Taylor will be 2 that will have and should come back. I think Josh Braun's going to be another offensive lineman. It's just more experience. I think in Bobby Petrino's offense, that goes back to the 5 and 7 year with Ryan Mallett in year 1 under Petrino. Ryan still made some mistakes, but not to the degree. It's a lot to digest when you're playing quarterback in a Bobby Petrino offense. And I do think Taylor will be better. I do think he will be back for his senior year here at Arkansas. I think they're going to be, like I said, I think this team is a year away talent. But, one thing I think is going to be real big is when the transfer portal hits.
So,
and
Pat,
December 15th is going to be big for
if he decides to come back, do they have a real true quarterback competition? That's the question for me.
I don't think so.
Because
I think you have a strong quarterback room. I think both Taylor and I think all those quarterbacks are still learning in this system. I think you're going to have an even better quarterback room. But I think 2 years from now, I think you have a strong 2 quarterbacks that then I think you do have a quarterback controversy.
Pat, I think with the type of competitor and the type of body of work that Singleton put together with the limited opportunities, I think he'd test the transfer portal, because it's like, hey, if I'm coming in already competing at a high level and you're telling me I'm coming in to compete for a backup role, and this guy, you're right. He arguably is probably the top 5 quarterback statistically. But again, when you have a kid, I'm not saying Singleton outplayed him, but I do think there should be a true quarterback battle going into next year. I really do.
Oh, Fraley says Broden need any help filling out portal
he don't.
papers.
No,
He'll be out of eligibility.
We let him go.
Yeah.
We're taking his NIL, his chain, and his car. Whatever we gave him, we need that back.
When I was watching that game, though, Saturday, one thing did also stand out to me is some of the needs. Because when you think of how can this team get better if you're covering it, they need to get a little bit better on the offensive line. I think Arkansas is really going to have to hone in on the junior college and transfer portal in this upcoming December signing period. This is the most important signing period, not just for Arkansas, but for all of college football. If you're going to bid on the NIL and the players now, you better do it, because when this bill passes about revenue sharing and whatnot, that comes in April, things going to get evened out. The NIL is going to be evened out. So with there being no rules,
that's going to be big.
All the loopholes you can jump through, this portal class right now is the most important. And really, for Arkansas, it's very important. From what I'm hearing from sources close to, that I know, Arkansas is going to end up being okay. But you got to get the right players. I still think the class of defensive linemen that's going to be coming here, I think they're going to be really good defensive linemen.
All over.
I think this team's a lot closer. Because when you think about it, outside of one game, they got whooped in Ole Miss. They absolutely got. But every game this season, Arkansas has been in it in the fourth quarter, and there's always been a player to go their way, go against them, and it just absolutely it takes the air out of them. They've been competitive. There's still, like I said, a couple of players, the Jimmies and the Joes. They're a few players away, and it's going to boil down. You hate to talk about it being about money, but it's about money.
It's not about money.
You hate to talk about that.
To me, it's not about money, because I think it's too many kids that need opportunities to change their lives and looking for opportunities to go to a school like Arkansas where they can have the opportunity to have a chance to go to the NFL. You can't. I know there's a kid out there that doesn't have to have $1 million to come to the University of Arkansas and be aiding factor. So I'm not saying money won't be involved, but I don't think that's an end.
See, I think in the real world we want to say that, but right now kids are looking and colleges are trying to get to that playoff 12. It's no longer about just coming and aiding. People want that money and playing that 12-team play. And the highest bidding teams, the teams that pay that NIL dollar, they're going to be in the grand stage, and I think that's what kids are drawn to. They want to play in what considers
Pat,
the college playoff system.
So
if you have the money, you get them, and if you don't,
I guarantee you,
you're not going to be one of those schools.
I guarantee you 5 or 6 of the teams that go into playoffs don't have the biggest NIL budgets. I
can understand because the way it's set up, you're going to have some of it. But when you get down into the meaningful Final Four, the ones that paid the money, they're going to separate themselves. The people that are going to play the championships, the ones you're going to see in the Final Fours, them are going to be the teams that have absolutely bought completely into that NIL and getting the best players possible, because who else benefits? The coach benefits, the school benefits.
I give it 2 out of 2 because
it's a buy-in.
If that was the case, basketball would be like that.
It's tremendously like that in basketball.
And you have smaller rosters.
Yeah, it's tremendously like. I mean, Arkansas just happens to have a big-time friend of the program who can afford the $5 million. Not everybody has that type of luxury.
But that's what I'm saying.
Where they can just get that type of money.
It's not all about NIL, man. Some of this has to do with you identifying guys that still understand. I'm not gonna make all my money in college. There's guys that still understand you're not gonna make all.
I don't disagree, but I think the big top players, and that's what we're talking about, getting to the playoffs and getting the best players. Ole Miss's defensive line is not what I saw last year by no stretch, but the money in the NIL dollar. Oh, they're going to be in there. They got a cakewalk.
Ole Miss got a cakewalk. Be in the playoffs.
They'll be in there. They got a cakewalk. I think they got Mississippi State. I think they got one more conference game left. They should make it. The team I'm real surprised, and I think this guy should get Coach of the Year in the SEC, is Beamer. I think Beamer down there at South Carolina has done an exceptional job. Well, you talk about the 2 schools in the SEC it's only been 2 played 6 top 25 teams at the time that they played them. South Carolina and Arkansas were the only 2 schools to do that. And so, I mean, here he is sitting at 7-3. This is a team, guys, took Alabama to the wire, if not for a penalty against LSU. I mean, they're sitting at 8-2, and we're talking about the Gamecocks of South Carolina possibly being in the mix for the SEC championship game and playoffs. So I just think with the way college football is right now,
tell me how you see Ole Miss in the playoffs at 4-2.
Who else they got? They're gonna finish 6-2, which when you look at their 2 losses, who were those 2 losses to? Kentucky.
That's a bad loss.
Yeah, but who have they beaten? They beat Georgia. This is going to be a team that society. If they finish at 10-2,
they're outside looking.
They're going to be going. They're ranked. I think they're 11th right now, and they're going to move up in the poll in the off week. They'll be a top 8 team. They're not going to lose another game, and they're going to finish 10-2 in the league, 6-2 in the league, 10-2 on regular season. They're going to be in there. I mean, that's going to be when you think about it, you think Alabama, you're thinking Georgia, you're thinking Tennessee, and you're thinking realistically Ole Miss as being the 4 teams that are going to represent you in the playoffs. I know you're going to get 4 in there.
Tennessee is still ranked higher than them, right?
Well, they only got 1 loss. Tennessee can lose another game. Tennessee, I think, is secure. I don't see them getting beat the rest of the year. That's what
I'm trying to figure out how you say.
I think if you have 4 10-2 teams in the SEC, all 4 of those teams are going to get in. I mean, all 4 of those teams are going to be in that 12 team.
So, because the only other person that could lose a game is what, Texas A&M?
And that's going to come down to that Texas A&M game. Will they be in? I think Texas wins that game, but it is at C-Stat, which makes that game even more relevant. So if Texas, you could get 5 in. I think 10-2 teams in the SEC, you're going to be in that playoff. I mean, it's a gauntlet in this conference, and I think if you can win 8 or 9. That's going to put you in a really good bowl game. 7 to 9 wins is going to put you in a big-time bowl game. 10 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins, that puts you in there. That puts you in the 12-team playoff. And I do think 4 teams will get in of the 8. I think it's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC, both with preferably 4 teams. And I think they're going to get the mid-majors, the conference champions like the Boise States and whatnot. I think excuse me, Colorado. I'm one of the main guys. I'll publicly say I didn't think
I told you.
Deion could do it this fast. I'm not going to sit and say I
told you.
didn't. I mean, my apologies and congratulations to the program. With all the
And,
NFL coaches that he has,
And he doesn't have the biggest NIL budget over there. That's why I say it's not all about NIL. It's can you get guys that fit your program? Can you coach these guys out? And can you come in Saturday each and every week ready to play? It's not always about money because you still got to motivate the guys that get paid.
I don't think Deion will be at Colorado after this season.
He don't got to. I told you that.
I think Deion's going to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys myself.
And Deion should be coach of the year.
I think he should be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey man, I just talked to Jerry last week. I should have said something to him about
I think
that.
he's going to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that'd be a good one. I mean, Deion would be a player's coach. I mean, he's been there, Hall of Famer. I mean,
shout out my boy Carl. What's up, Carl? What's up now?
Hey, we're going to take a real quick break. You hear more of the Sam Pittman press conference, and then we'll be back. It's On the Hill live from CMAC Southern Kitchen at 2190 MLK
Carl.
Boulevard.
Ooh, I'm going to make a name for myself.
1 year or 6 months or whenever, I guess, whatever it is from January. What does senior day mean to you now?
Anybody who puts in the work for a team and, it's their last home game or whatever, there's always a strong emotion that goes into that because you love them. And, but it's also, different feeling because now this young man's getting ready to go off and do something else, whether it be in the business world, whether it be in the NFL. And like Hudson Clark and Eric Gregory, those are two guys that have been here for 6 years, and so the guys that are loyal, Landon Jackson could have left and went to the NFL or could have went in the portal and he didn't. So, each one of them are a little bit different, but just very grateful for the guys that came back and the hard work and energy and effort and loyalty that they had to the program.
If you're kind of summing up the senior class, at least to this point of the season, whether, Jaquindon Jackson's been here first year, but he's had a good year when he's healthy. And and you allude to the 6-year guy. Just, what would you say about this year's senior class, how they've contributed?
Well, I think they've done extremely
back
well.
To our 30-minute segment, our final segment. We like to do every Monday, the recap. I want to talk a little high school football. 7A West playoffs shapes up. Cabot will be taking on Bryant. Fayetteville will host the Pulaski Academy Bruins, coached by former Arkansas great wide receiver Anthony Lucas. Bentonville West, Bentonville, part 2 in the playoffs. These two teams just played.
I was wondering if there's anybody that's walking senior day that maybe has eligibility left.
Yeah.
Braun,
Josh Braun would be the one that
this Friday,
certainly would like to have him back.
Versus the Camden.
But he's going to
Fairview,
walk, which,
that
doesn't mean a whole lot. The rest of them that are walking, I don't expect to come back.
They will be starting.
Ron still could come back.
Ron could come back.
Okay. Yeah. Just a lot of
is there any chance on Braxton to be back this year?
So if you're not out doing anything,
if he doesn't practice, we'll run out of time. I'm saying
we'll be on with our pregame at 6.
Possibly,
for,
the bowl,
quarterfinal kickoff.
But I don't. It's just not getting better.
Harmon Playfield, but hey, we're going to get back to.
Is it time to have the conversation with Talon about does he want to come back? I mean, certainly y'all probably want to have him back.
We came out before the services. We don't
probably not. So you'll know.
Sam,
Monday
we had talked to
after the Missouri game, I've got 6 guys that I'm going to bring in and talk to myself, or coaches are going to talk to, their players. But there's 6 in there that I want to sit down and talk to, and certainly you could probably imagine who they are
in quite some time. And when you can go from a 4-8 year and then maybe possibly finish 7-5, win your bowl game 8-5, because this team can still win 8 games. I mean, it's very much possible that they can win their remaining 2. I've always felt like Missouri, not a very good football team. I think if any year you can get them, I think this is the year that they're more susceptible to be beat in that rivalry. And then I think you start really getting your claws into them. They showed a lot of deficiencies. Not the defense that they once was done. The secondary, they can cover the pass, but I think they're susceptible to the run. And then when you look at La Tech, this is a team better than its record. I don't think a lot of people understand that, but this team is a lot better than what its record states. But I do think on senior day, Arkansas will become bowl eligible and go to 6-5. That's still something to build on. I know a lot of people don't want to admit, but that is something to build on. This team is going to be better offensively in a year 2 of a Bobby Petrino offense. I think they'll be even better in the 3rd year under Coach T. Will. I mean, they have, if everyone were to come back that could come back, I mean, you're talking about 17 or 18 starters that'll return, and experience does matter. I mean, I know we can talk about it, with the portal, with rosters changing, whatnot, but the experience does matter, so.
I think they lose a lot, Pat. They lose a lot. You talk about you lose Armstrong, you lose
Landon,
your tight end, you lose Landon, you lose Jaquindon, you lose 3 off your offensive line?
No, the entire line comes back. Yeah, all those kids, all those cats are juniors or sophomores. It's a very young. When I say young football team.
Carmona coming back?
Yeah, I say it's a young football team. It's a really young football team. Cam Ball has a year that he can come back.
Man, Cam seems like he's been on the team for about 6 years.
I think the only 2 that won't absolutely come back will be Landon Jackson, Eric Gregory, Hudson Clark. Those guys have used up their eligibility, and I mean, so proud of the loyalty that those guys shown. I think Armstrong's eligibility. Broden, I think, is up with eligibility.
Armstrong out of here.
Who else?
Armstrong needs to leave. I feel like he's
Hudson. So there's not very many.
But it may not be
playing.
very many. But you're talking about those are key guys on this team. Those are key figures. You're talking probably about the guys we just named is probably about 40% of the play on our team.
I think when you have the line coming back, I mean, if you don't lose a Taylor and you have Braylon and you have Hill, I know you lose Jaquindon, but that's a lot. You're going to lose Broden. Armstrong.
I can get Broden, though.
I think what you'll be able to do in the portal, I think you'll be able to get, have Isaiah. There's still some receivers that's still going to be there. You're going to lose Tesla, which that's the young man I would have loved to seen a lot more in the wide receiver was Isaac Tesla.
They just didn't use him right, man.
I thought he would have I think he could have complimented Andrew Armstrong better than Broden. Without question.
Absolutely.
I thought he would have been a better comp. And then you have, you got
I didn't understand why he
got a good couple tight ends. Haas will be back at tight end.
Who, Luke?
Yeah, Luke will be back.
Haas ain't coming back.
You have to be in college 3 years before you can go pro, and Luke is just a sophomore.
I thought he was a junior.
No, Luke's just a sophomore. Luke actually could get his redshirt freshman back. So Luke Haas is just going to be
Haas was out of here.
No, Haas is a sophomore by school. Yeah, by class he's a sophomore. By football, he could get his redshirt. He could be going into a third-year sophomore season. So there's a lot of experience coming back on this football team. Marion Harris is a sophomore, third-year sophomore. You got Patrick Kudus that'll be back. He has 2 more years. Josh Braun, ironically, has another year of eligibility if he wants to come back on that offensive line. So you can return your entire offensive line and tight ends and receivers. I think Cam Ball has a decision if he wants to go pro. You return the majority of your defensive line, a lot of your linebackers, pretty much your entire. I mean, this is going to be a much more experienced football team next year. But you have to, and I'll say it again, the transfer portal is going to be really, really big for this football team. You got to get the need. You got to fill some spaces. It's going to be wide receiver.
That's not bad.
And a lot. I mean, you're going to have to fill some spaces with that team.
I think they still need an X factor. They need an X factor.
They're about 5-6 players away, in my opinion.
They need 2 X factors at receive a home run threat at running back and an X factor at receiver.
And I think they need. I think they need 2 inside tackles that can really wreak havoc on the inside, but I think they're going to have to come from that junior college or that portal. I don't think you go get high school guys because I really feel like the future of the program with the young guys, Coach Adams, and he has here and coming in, 2 years from now, we're going to be talking about this defensive line as one of the elite ones in the SEC. I firmly believe that once these kids – I really thought a guy that stood out to me, and you know I'm a big fan of Ian Griffard. I thought big number 95, when he was in the game, he created a lot of double teams and really clogged up that middle. If you notice, if you go back and watch the game, they weren't running the football, and that's, I think, when he was in the game when Arkansas was able to get the most pressure on Quentin Ewers. Is Quentin Ewers – to me, I also thought Texas was not the number 3 team in the country. I didn't see that.
And I'm expecting guys like Quincy Rose to step up in spaces and
Big
really,
Q got
take that space of Landon Jackson leaving, and I think he can probably exceed stat wise what Landon's numbers look like here at Arkansas.
Hey, them young dogs they got coming in. Decaz in that freshman class. I could see about 4 when their careers pan out. I think there's about 3 or 4 of those guys that you might see playing on Sundays very extensively in that incoming freshman class. Just a great class. But, hey, that's going to wrap us up. Be sure to join us here on Wednesdays. We'll be back with the state preview Casey Dick shows. We'll bring in some of the elite seniors, some of the guys that are going to be counted on to make the plays. A lot of experience. I think J.O. may be back in, maybe Rhett. Just a couple of guys that we really think are impact leaders of this football team. We'll have them on the show from 1 to 1:45 on Wednesday. Then we'll be, I don't know if we'll be here at Tiny Town on Thursday. But hey, if you're watching this, listen. If you come into any of the 4 locations and say you heard it on the Hill Media about the 25% discount, they will take care of it. Just mention it that you heard it on the Hill Media. And I'm pretty sure you'll be able to walk out here with some of the most amazing food in these parts. I'm telling you, it is made Southern at heart, and it's just that good. But, hey, we want to give a shout-out to our sponsors that made today possible. That being said, CMAX Southern Kitchen with locations at 2190 MLK Boulevard, 7420 West Sunset, 909 South Thompson, and just off of Highway 412 there in Siloam Springs. It is just that good, I'm telling you. CMAX Southern Kitchen. Also, Lindsay & Associates. They've got a location in Fayetteville, one in Rogers, and their newest location in Bentonville. That's Lindsay & Associates. We bring great neighbors together. Also, First Choice Protection Systems. And get this, if you are a veteran, they do honor the veteran discount. So be sure to reach out to our good friends at First Choice Protection Systems for all your security needs. And lastly, Fayetteville Glass, located at 1725 North College Avenue. That's Fayetteville Glass, not Auto Company, Inc. And get this, they've been open for over 47 years, so make sure to reach out to our good buddies at Fayetteville Glass. From our producer, Demetrius, and myself, we'll see you on Wednesday. Once again, tonight, Arkansas Pacific, SEC Plus. They're in the bud. We'll see you on Wednesday. It's on the Hill at CMAX Southern Kitchen. Let's get it.